We now have a ton of details about Chasca, one of the two new characters releasing in version 5.2. Not gonna lie, her kit is pretty unique, especially for an Anemo character, and it gives her a fresh playstyle. Now, her mechanics might look complicated at a first glance, but she's actually quite easy to use once you get the hang of it. So today, I'll walk you through her early beta kit. First, I'll go over her normal attacks, elemental skill, elemental burst, and passives. Then in the second part of the video, I'll go over her constellations, weapons, artifacts, and team composition. And finally, I'll end the video with the materials required for her ascension. Also, just a heads up, this is still beta info, so things could and most likely will change before release. Chasca is a 5-star Anemo DPS who focuses on charged attacks. She's very similar to characters like Ganyu, but with her own twist. So instead of relying on regular Anemo damage, Chasca uses the elements of her team members, basically Pyro, Hydro, Electro, or Cryo, to deal massive amounts of elemental damage. This pretty much makes her the first character to deal multi-element DPS by themselves in Genshin, which is super exciting. Now let's break down how she actually works on the field. Her normal attacks don't really matter for her because her real damage comes from her charged attacks, as I said before. Her elemental skill is where the fun begins. When you use her elemental skill, she mounts her big gun and deals AoE and Anemo damage, and enters her Night Soul's Blessing state, which generates 80 Night Souls points. During this time, she gets faster and becomes resistant to interruption, making her great for both combat and exploration. While in this state, Chasca can either perform normal attacks or use her charged attacks. The normal attacks aren't that useful, but the charged attacks are where the magic happens. If you hold down the normal attack button, and Chasca charges up Anemo bullets up to 6 of them, you can freely aim at enemies while charging the shots. When you release the button, the bullets split, either hitting one enemy or spreading across multiple enemies, depending on how many you're targeting. Now here's where it gets interesting. Chasca's bullets can transform into elemental bullets based on your team setup. The 4th, 5th, and 6th bullets are converted into the elements of your party members. For example, if you have 2 Pyro teammates and 1 Hydro teammate, you'll end up with 2 Pyro bullets and 1 Hydro bullet. The order of elemental infusion is random, but nonetheless this allows Chasca to trigger multiple elemental reactions, adding lots of flexibility to her kit. If one of your party members is Geo though, 1 bullet stays as Anemo. One of the coolest things about her charged attacks is that they fire backward. The 6th bullet hits first, and the 1st bullet hits last. This is super important for triggering elemental reactions, as every other bullet can cause a reaction, and she has separate cooldowns for her Anemo and converted bullets. This makes her tricky to predict when it comes to theory crafting her exact damage, since it all depends on the randomness of bullet conversion and reactions. Her elemental burst is fairly straightforward, as when you use it, Chasca just fires a massive shot that does AoE and Anemo damage. And just like her elemental skill, the 2 shells will be infused to a party member's elemental type. Chasca's elemental burst costs 60 energy and has a 15-second cooldown. It starts with a big blast of AoE and Anemo damage, followed by 6 bullets that can convert into elements, just like her elemental skill. The burst also has the same unique reaction cooldown as her charge attacks, so it works in a similar way. She also has a fun exploration ability that lets her switch characters mid-air during Night Soul's Blessing and do a plunge attack. When it comes to leveling her talents, prioritize her elemental skill first, then her elemental burst. Don't worry if all the mechanics sound complicated, you can still play her effectively by focusing on building a team with Pyro, Hydro, Electro, or Cryo characters and triggering as many elemental reactions as possible with her charged attacks and bursts. Now there's a lot of confusion among us as to which elements get priority when infusing, so I'll make another video that covers the random chance probability. GI Chef has prepared a kinda needed document explaining it, and I'll definitely go over it. So make sure to like and subscribe so you won't miss a thing. Chasca's passive 1 adds an extra layer of depth to her kit. Her 3rd bullet can also be converted into an element, which makes having a team with multiple elements. For example, if your team includes Electro, Pyro, and Hydro members, her 3rd bullet will always convert to one of these. But these are random, like I said. Her passive 2 gives even more buffs to her. When you trigger her Night Soul's burst, she gets extra bullets that are guaranteed to convert to an element, following the same rules as her passive one. These bonus bullets hit 150% harder than her normal ones, giving her a huge damage boost. Chasca's Constellations bring a lot to her gameplay. For instance, her C1 makes it easier to convert bullets, meaning you don't need to always have a full team of party members with different elemental types. C2 boosts her AoE damage, while her C6 allows every other charged attack to instantly charge, greatly increasing her damage output. For weapons, Chasca's signature bow is her best choice, as it gives crit damage, boosts charged attack damage, and works well with her swirl reactions. Aqua Simulacra is another great option, and crit-based bows like Skyward Harp are decent, though not ideal. In terms of artifacts, the Obsidian Codex set is the best for maximizing her damage. But if you want her to play more of a support role, the 4-piece Viridescent Veneers set works too. When building teams for Chasca, you'll want multiple elements to take full advantage of her bullet conversions and reactions. Although her passive one encourages multi-elemental teams, you don't have to stick strictly to that. A double pyro team works great, for example. However, her team options can be a bit limited since she doesn't benefit much from supports like Xingqiu and relies on buffers to pump up her damage. Chasca shines when paired with off-field elemental damage dealers like Fischl or Xiangling. She works especially well in reaction-heavy teams, triggering powerful reactions like Vaporize, Overload, or Electrocharge depending on your team's elements. And yeah, she may not be as flexible as some other Anemo characters like Kazuha, but her ability to infuse multi-elemental damage types makes her a standout in the right team setup. Now, to get the most out of Chasca's elemental bullet conversions, the ideal team should have at least 3 different elements. A great example of a core team could be Chasca, Fischl, Xiangling, and Xingqiu. This team ensures that her bullets will transform into electro, pyro, and hydro elements, allowing her to trigger powerful reactions like Overload, Vaporize, and Electrocharge with each charged attack and burst. You could also try a double pyro setup using Chasca, Bennett, Xiangling, and an electro character like Beidou or Fischl. In this team, pyro resonance buffs Chasca's attack, enhancing her reaction damage. Although this kinda limits the variety of elemental conversions since 2 bullets will always be pyro, it simplifies her playstyle and at least focuses on consistent pyro reactions. For something a bit more experimental, you could run a team with 4 different elements to maximize Chasca's passive one, which increases random bullet conversions. You could pair her with supports like Kazuha for extra swirl reactions or Diana for cryo support and healing, creating a versatile team with lots of reaction potential. These are the materials required for Chasca's ascension. And these are the materials you'll need to level up her signature weapon as well. For those of you who enjoy experimenting with multi-element team compositions, she's like your soulmate, offering a fresh, dynamic playstyle that is very unique among Anemo characters. I doubt she would ever become a meta-defining DPS, but it all depends on how well she scales off of these party members. But one thing's for sure, she's bringing something new to the table in the Genshin 5.2 update. To be fair, Natlan has been feeding us well, so that's all the info I have for now about Chasca. If you enjoyed this video and want to see me make more awesome content like this, remember to subscribe. That truly means the world to me. Once again, thanks for watching this long video with me, and I'll catch you in the next one.